Welcome to i-nastava. This is an English video lesson intended for 4th grade secondary school students. Today's topic is the second part of the lesson on Louise Braille, and my name is Anita. I will be your teacher today. In today's lesson, you'll use critical thinking skills while answering questions, and you'll write a summary of the text on Louise Braille. For this lesson, you'll need just regular stuff, your notebook or a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and your smartphone or laptop, personal computer connected to the internet. Let's remind ourselves of the previous lesson. We watched a video about Louise Braille, the father of the literacy for the blind. I hope you've expanded your vocabulary because we dealt with some very challenging words. Today's lesson will start with some questions. The answers to these questions are not explicitly written in the text. This kind of questions sharpen your mind and strengthen your logical thinking skills. You can have a look at the questions, or if you like, you can copy them into your notebook. There are 7 questions. I'll read them for you and then you can pause the video and take time to think about them. So in the Croatian language, the alphabet for the blind is called Brajica, not Brajlica. Why? Why was the letter W not included in Braille's original alphabet? When is World Braille Day celebrated? Before a book in Braille is published, it is proofread by both the blind and the sighted reader so that any errors can be corrected or changes made before it is published. Can you guess what the blind reader does and what the sighted reader does? Why did Charles Barbier call his writing system sonography? Can you explain the contradiction? As Braille use spreads across everyday objects, the number of people using the system has actually been in long-term decline. Look at the alphabet. Can you decipher the way he arranged dots for letters A through J? How did he arrange the dots for letters K through T and for the remaining letters? So let's check if you were right. The first question was, in the Croatian language, the alphabet for the blind is called Brajica, not Brajlica. Why? Louis Braille was a Frenchman, so in French his second name is pronounced
Braille.
Whereas
Braille.
is English. Therefore, in the Croatian language, we are talking about Brajica, not Brajlica. Let's go on to the second question. Why wasn't the letter W included in Braille's original alphabet? The answer is W wasn't included in Braille's original alphabet because it covered the basic letters of the French alphabet, and at the time the French alphabet didn't include W. The third question was, when is World Braille Day celebrated? It is an international day celebrated on January 4th, Braille's birthday. Do you celebrate it at your school? If not, it would be a great idea to start marking it and celebrate diversity and inclusivity. Here is the answer to the fourth question. Before a book in Braille is published, it is proofread by both the blind and the sighted reader, so that any errors can be corrected or changes made before it is published. Can you guess what the blind reader does and what the sighted reader does? They work side by side. The blind reader reads the book loud, and the sighted reader follows the lines in the printed version of the text. The fifth question was, why did Charles Barbier call his writing system sonography? Because it was based on sounds, and the word sono, coming from Latin, means sound. In the sixth question, I asked you to explain the contradiction. As Braille use spreads across everyday objects, the number of people using the system has actually been in long-term decline. The reason lies in the technological advancements we have been witnessing. Today, There are screen readers for computers as well as smartphones that speak. Technology has spawned a generation of blind people who are tech savvy. In the 7th question, you had to look at the alphabet and try to crack the code in which Braille arranged letters A through J. If you give it some thought, you'll realize he used the top 4 dots for letters A through J. For letters K through T, he added the bottom left-hand dot to the first combination of dots. And for the remaining letters, he added the bottom left-hand and right-hand dots. That was the last question. I hope you picked up new vocabulary in our previous lesson. Acquiring vocabulary sometimes takes a lot more effort than we would like to believe, so we'll do a bit of recycling today too. Here is your next task. Please match the words you see on the left-hand side with their synonyms on the right-hand side. If you're doing it online, use the link provided in the top right corner of the slide. Copy the link and paste it into the browser address bar. Are you ready? Let's start. Reluctant, hesitant, subsequent, following, ramshackle, dilapidated, ravaged, devastated, precocious, intelligent, hinder, prevent, painstakingly, tirelessly, inquisitive, curious, deteriorate, worsen, and renowned, reputable. I'm sure you got them all. Now that we have revised some of the vocabulary from our previous lesson, you're ready for your next task. And your next task is really easy. It's something you have already learned about a lot, but it's always good to revise grammar. It increases your confidence and improves your language level. What you're supposed to do is to take a closer look at this sentence and underline examples of a simple predicate, or to put it simply, verb phrases. To make the task, he used the same kind of tool that had caused him to go blind 12 years earlier. So there are 2 simple predicates, used and had caused. The first is in past simple and the second verb is in past perfect. Now compare these 2 events. When did they take place? Both events took place in the past. What is the difference then between these 2? Did they take place simultaneously? The answer is no. One action took place in the past, he used, and the other action had taken place even earlier, and because of that, past perfect is sometimes called past of the past. Apart from expressing one event that was completed before another past event, past perfect tense can be used to talk about past events that did not happen. Take a look at this sentence. Did this situation happen? No, it didn't. If Braille hadn't gone to the Royal Institution for Blind Youth, but he did go, he wouldn't have invented, but he did invent his alphabet. Do you know what this way of expressing unreal situation is called? It's third conditional. And the last use of past perfect we're going to talk about today is this one. Read the sentence. The president of the World Braille Foundation said, unfortunately, the French education establishment for the blind didn't understand the advantages of his system. Now read the second sentence. The president of the World Braille Foundation stated that unfortunately the French education establishment for the blind hadn't understood the advantages of his system. Here, past perfect is used in the form which is called reported speech. What did we just do? In the second sentence, we express the content of the president's statement without quoting him explicitly. In grammar, it's called reported speech. Now it's time to practice. Complete the following conversation with the appropriate form of the verbs in brackets. Pause the video for a minute and do the task. It won't take long. And here is the answer key. I recently read a book a friend of mine had recommended a long time ago on Louise Braille's life. What an amazing story. What a coincidence. Jane told me they had learned about him at school the other day. They were impressed. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the class. If I hadn't been ill, I would have enjoyed the lesson, I'm sure. Before we move on to our next and final task, please read these sentences and match them with their uses. So the pairs are 1 and C. I recently read a book a friend of mine had recommended. So past perfect is used to express an action finished before another past action. 2 and A. Jane told me they had learned about him at school the other day. So past perfect is used to backshift past simple or present perfect in reported speech. And 3 and B. If I hadn't been ill, I would have enjoyed the lesson, I'm sure. Past perfect is used to express unreality in the past. Great. And this is your last task for today. What you are supposed to do is to write a short summary of the text about Louise Braille we listened to in our previous lesson. Write a paragraph of 100 to 120 words. But the summary must include at least 4 words from the previous vocabulary tasks, and make sure you include examples of past perfect. Remember, a good summary may use keywords from the original text, but should not contain whole phrases or sentences from the original. And here is my example. Louise Braille, the father of literacy for the blind, was born in France in 1809. At 3, he suffered a terrible injury, which 2 years later left him completely blind in both eyes. However, it didn't hinder this precocious boy from, etc. Charles Barbier, a former military officer, visited Braille's school and talked about a code he had invented upon Napoleon's demand. To make sure you've done all the things right, I've created this checklist. I bet 20 minutes from now it will look like this. We've come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you learned something new today. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.